And welcome in everyone to the inaugural episode of Mutt Cuts Sports Talk. I'm your host, Poppa Capps. Joining me tonight is my boy Monty.
Yes, sir.
And yes, sir, we are excited to launch this new podcast. I've joined him on this Ballin' Out. Had some fun there, and we wanted to put something together a little for ourselves. We'll talk college football, NFL. We'll talk NBA, college basketball, recruiting. We'll talk about sports cards, video games, gambling, sports gambling. Yeah, you name it, we're going to talk about it. We love to talk. We love to hear ourselves talk. So it's this is a good duo here, I have to say. You know, it's something we've been doing for years, 20 years now probably.
Yeah.
And just never in front of a microphone or behind a microphone, so and a camera. So here we go. Let's kick it off.
Yes, sir. Let's get down to it, man.
How you feeling tonight, my boy?
Oh, buddy. Like $1 million, man. If I was any damn better, I'd need a twin.
Okay. Yeah, same, man. So hit up a trunk or treat tonight with the kids. Got my Ladybug Cat and Ran shirt on. My daughter was Ladybug, Cat and Ran here, so it worked out pretty well. Evan was a stormtrooper. It was a good little mix. So
Evan have that power tee on?
No. We went no branded, just your normal stormtrooper, just your normal everyday Star Wars stormtrooper. Can't hit broadside of a barn with a gun, but he can hit it with a baseball at least. So that's all I care about.
There you go.
All right, so yeah, Mutt Cut episode 0, calling this. Kick it off. We also go by Step Bros. Maybe you've seen our profile picture.
Yes, sir.
Pretty iconic. You would not believe this, but it's a Photoshop picture. It's Photoshop. So I know that's a surprise to everybody. But let's roll right into this. Let's talk about college football this week. So you and I, we have a good weekend.
We do,
because we just get to sit back and enjoy it. My Florida Gators are off. Yeah, your Georgia Bull or your Tennessee Volunteers, are off. I was going to talk about that's what Florida is preparing for. Always get that bye week before Georgia, so big game down in Jacksonville.
Right.
But yeah, we get to sit around. And I'll actually be at work this weekend running the girls lacrosse tournament, but I'll have some games up, and I'm excited about the slate of games this week. It's looks like to me that we might be in for another upset special week. You know, looks like one of those slates.
Yeah, man, there's some good games.
Just naming, some really good games. A lot of top 25 teams are playing, but they're playing unranked teams.
Yeah.
A lot of them on the road. So, we got some interesting storylines here. How about Notre Dame and Navy? Golden Domers versus the Golden Domers. This is probably the best Navy's ever looked, in my memory at least. Actually making the rankings in the top 25, 6-0. 6-0. I haven't been following them much. I don't know, what they run. If they run if they still run that triple option offense. Looking at their stats here, they got a quarterback who's thrown for almost 900 yards, 10 TDs to 1 interception. So they're airing the ball out a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah, I think they've kind of aired it out a little bit and started airing it out a little bit. Got a little bit more of a spread concept now. And but either way, man, those service academies, they always play disciplined ball, man. That's one thing you can always count on them for. And
yes, you can.
I think they're a little bit better than most people want to give them credit for, just simply because it's Navy. But let's not forget the time they went in and here a while back and put it on old Touchdown Jesus,
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I'd forgotten about that. And man, they're hosting this game at home, and they're a two touchdown underdog, 13.5 points. That's pretty crazy to me. I've watched a couple of Notre Dame games. I don't think I've seen anything from them that would lead me to believe that they go on the road. Sure, you could say Navy's not a hostile environment, but to win by 2 touchdowns, that's why I call that's an upset special. That's, if I'm a gambling man, I know you'll touch on this. I'll probably take the points in that spread at the very least, and that might be an upset. That's got upset written all over it. Am I right?
It really does, man. Especially if Navy can play their style of ball. I mean, even if they're running that spread offense or whatnot, just it's still got to be predicated on time management, clock control, and moving the ball at a good clip. So it's that'll be an interesting one. That game it's always either a Notre Dame blowout or if it's close, Navy wins. Seems like.
Right. Yeah. No, and Navy does have the fourth rushing defense in the country, or a rushing offense, I should say. They do put up 274.8 yards a game. They're also fourth in the country in points per game, 44.8. So they are running the ball down into the red zone and putting it in the end zone, which is just so rare these days. Defenses are so good in the red zone in college and NFL.
Yeah.
Seems like it's impossible to just line up and run it in there with 4 downs. It's just impossible. So they're doing that somehow. So we'll see if that holds up. That's a noon game. And again, as a top 12 team, a noon game against a team like that on the road, we'll see. I'm going to be tuning into that one. That's one I normally maybe wouldn't watch, but I'm definitely I'm going to be watching that one.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
we move down. Yeah, we do it. We move down the list. I think another upset here, not an SEC team. I've watched a couple of games with these teams. Washington at Indiana. Indiana is 7-0.
They are. Man, I'm really not sold on Indiana. Like, I don't know. I want to say that they're a decent football team, but I'm just not convinced. Like, but also I want to say this: have we, if ever, been able to say that Alabama football is ranked behind Indiana football? Indiana football ranked ahead of Alabama football.
It's crazy. I mean, this is the first year of the 12-team playoffs. We got BYU at number 11. We got Navy at number 24. We've got Vanderbilt ranked in the top 25. Illinois, SMU, Kansas State. I mean, and Kansas State's done it before, but man, what an inaugural season for the 12-team playoff, where we've got some new teams that are making their presence felt across college football. It's actually very refreshing to see.
It is.
We've talked about that in the other podcasts. I mean, it's just, you get tired of the same teams over and over every year, even though you see it on the field. It's just you need a little more parity. Parity makes college basketball so exciting. It makes baseball so exciting. But sometimes in college football, a little bit in the NFL, just you get tired. That's probably why a lot of people hated Tom Brady. They're just tired of seeing him in the Super Bowl all the years that they did. So
yep.
It is nice to see. Now talking about this Indiana game, 7-0, that it's just mind blowing, and I love their coach's attitude. I mean, he's full on taking it and running with it. That he thinks he's the best coach in the country. He's got the best team in the country. So you gotta respect it. You gotta admire it. And until somebody shows us otherwise, but this might be the week to do it. I mean, we got Indiana, number 1 scoring offense in the country, with 48.7 points. Number 1.
That's
and
interesting.
They're doing it balanced. They're the number 11, number 11 team in passing, and the number 23rd team, 23rd in rushing. They're putting up over 200 yards a game on the ground, 300 yards a game through the air. So they're rolling. They are. I don't know any of the names hardly on the teams. I don't know who their quarterback is now. Curtis Rourke, almost 2,000 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. They got something grooving. They got some grooving there. Now, I'll tell you, Washington though, they're 4-3, but they've got some impressive stats. They've got Will Rogers, former SEC quarterback, right? Mississippi State. He's had a season. He's 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. And Washington's got a new coach, which how good was theirs last year. He's not showing too much at Alabama right now with the talent he's got there. But they're a team that is known for doing this. So you got Indiana, they're a touchdown favorite pretty much, 6.5 points. That would not surprise me one bit at all. See Washington go in there and pull off that upset. But Indiana blows them out. It's time to really start looking at them as an 8-0 team that could really make some noise in the Big Ten.
It's time to start asking, who's your daddy?
Exactly, who's your daddy? And we'll find that out because after this they play Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State all in a row, and they go to Ohio State.
That'll be
mark
tough.
calendars.
That'll be a tough stretch.
Yeah. That Saturday before Thanksgiving is when they play Ohio State. If they're both, or I should say, if Indiana's undefeated, Ohio State's still at one loss. That one loss being to the number one team in the country. That's going to be a fun game. So we'll see. But upset watch for Indiana. Another one here is I'll go segue right to Ohio State. They're number 4 in the country. They've looked great. Oregon game could win either way. They're putting up points. They've got talent all over the field. That's very obvious. They got Smith, their receiver, probably a better freshman receiver in my opinion than Williams down in Alabama, honestly, because he's consistent.
Yeah,
over
he's
500
talented,
yards, 7 touchdowns. But they play Nebraska, right? The Mahomes cosplay. Dylan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Raiola. Whatever.
We already know what he's going to be for Halloween.
Chiefs.
Patrick
knock
Mahomes.
off Chiefs quarterback.
If
you ordered him off Wish.
Yeah, he's a Wish.com Patrick Mahomes. But early on it looked like he was, pretty legit, but he's throwing a lot of interceptions, 9 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, but they are a 5-2 team going into the Horseshoe. Another noon game, right? But when we're high rated, when our teams are high rated, we cringe.
We don't want the noon games.
We hate noon games, especially when it's against a team we should beat.
Yes.
So that's why I circled this week as, man, this could be another crazy week. Hate to bring up bad memories, kind of like the week where Missouri took you guys down, where Vandy beat Alabama, where was it Washington beat Michigan at that time. So there was a lot of top 25 upsets that week. So there's another one. Ohio State, 25.5-point favorite over a 5-2 Nebraska team.
Ooh.
Wow.
I think they're putting a lot into that last Nebraska game because Nebraska last game, man, they just got just boat raced and by Indiana.
Right.
So I think that's part of it, but that's a lot of points to put out there. But
it is. I'd be tempted to take the points in that because of all those factors. Noon game.
Yeah.
What's Ohio State looking at? And the rest of the schedule, they've already got that loss. They know they can't afford any more than one more loss. They've really got to win pretty too, just to try to get one of those top 4 seeds. What they're shooting for sure. So that's an interesting one. I think, I'll probably tune into that one, but honest, Notre Dame Navy is going to be the game I'm going to be watching. At noon.
That noon slate, man, it's pretty solid. But that Notre Dame Navy game, it's the only ranked versus ranked matchup in the noon game. So
yeah,
or
exactly.
in the noon slot. So
right, and there's the history there. It's that's a cool game. I being that Florida does not play any at all on Saturday, I'm just gonna try to enjoy football while I can while I'm working, and that's definitely the game I'm going to start with. And then, next down the list we got. This is a weird one. BYU, number 11, right? Undefeated, 7-0 against UCF, who's been up and down. They've looked good, but when they've looked bad, they look really bad. They look awful against Colorado, awful against Florida. Running game was not working either of those games. Gus Malzahn looked like Gus Malzahn, right? Not the good, not the good one, not the one that had Cam Newton at quarterback,
right?
So he's got Cam Newton's left toe, I guess, on that right now. So he can do a little bit, but he can't do what Cam Newton could do. But they are favored. UCF's favored by a field goal, 2.5 points.
That's
in a game against the number 11 team. It is at UCF. It's in Orlando. BYU's got to go all the way over there. We know they travel well. I was at the airport when BYU was leaving after beating Tennessee and Neyland. I was at the airport. There was a lot of blue there, a lot of Mormons. Yeah. It was swarming with Mormons. It was swarming Mormon.
The swarming Mormons.
It was swarming Mormon at McGee Tyson Airport, baby. It was wild, and they were feisty.
Yeah, they should have been. They come in and whooped our ass. But this is one of the that's a weird game just simply because of kind of like what you pointed out. BYU's a top 12 team. UCF's unranked. I'll tell you this: the reason I think that Central Florida is favored in this game is simply because I watched BYU against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's not a great football team, but they're good enough. They have a good defense. They can score points, but they struggled against Oklahoma State's run game. And Ollie Howard, dude, that kid is legit. Like,
Yeah, easily one of the best, if not the best running back in the country. So, you got to take that with a grain of salt too. I mean, Ollie Gordon is gonna run all over.
Ollie Gordon, yes.
Yeah, he's gonna run all over a lot of defenses. But there was a time where people were thinking UCF had the best rush defense in the country, and then Colorado kind of laid the blueprint on how to stop them. So
right,
they definitely struggled to pass. So I'm a little surprised by that. I guess maybe Vegas obviously knows better than we do, but that's easy bulletin board for BYU and their coach. I'd plaster that all over the locker room all week. We're 7-0 team. We're favored to lose to a 3-4 team with a losing record.
Yes.
So, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. So that's just a weird one to me.
It is.
Here's another one, Illinois. That they've not looked this good since the early Ron Zook days after he left Florida. Juice Williams, I think, was their quarterback at that time. They made some runs up towards the top 10. They beat some good teams, but they're 6-1 and playing 7-0 Oregon in Austin. It's going to be crazy there.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 20 in the country. They are Oregon's favored 21.5 points. Do you think 3:30 game? Do you think Illinois can walk in there and win that game?
Well, if they adjust to that time difference, possibly, yeah. Because it's at Oregon. That's technically a 12:30 kickoff in Oregon. And Illinois, man, they're just one of those teams. They kind of just hang around and do just enough, and then it's almost like they wait for you to screw up. You know what I mean? Just got to keep. They hang right there. They're sneaky good. Oregon, dude, they look a little different this year than they have in the past. That Purdue game, man. That game had trap game written all over it.
Yeah.
And they come out after that Ohio State game and just, dog walk Purdue. So
yeah, I think Dan Lanning is as real as they get. I think he's an elite modern day college football coach. Right?
Yes.
He gets the NIL. He gets how kids think these days. He's still able to instill that toughness and that grit that an SEC coach does. They play a lot like an SEC team.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time that Oregon had a top 15 defense? They've only given up 16.5 points a game. That's not typical of Oregon. It's Chip Kelly days. They were fun to watch. They'd score 70. I think you said this before. The other team would score 69. Nice.
Yeah.
But, and you look, and Illinois, if you look at the stats, you wouldn't believe that they're a 6-1 team.
They win ugly.
Yeah, right. They're not in the top 25 in almost any stat on offense or defense. They are barely in the top 25 for points allowed. So they do obviously bear down in the red zone, force field goals, turnovers, whatever, to keep the score low. But that must be why there's such a big spread there. And I fully would, or I shouldn't be surprised at all if Oregon does go in there and that game's over by the third quarter and they're winning by 30 plus, at least 20 plus. But I don't know. I guess, we have to see if this Illinois team is for real. They don't turn the ball over. Their quarterback's only thrown one INT all year to 15 touchdowns. So a lot of impressive quarterback stats that we've run through today were really lopsided touchdown to interception ratio outside of Wish.com, Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Though, the thing about the way Illinois plays, though, Brett Bielema, he's still there. And they play his style of ball. They run the football. They don't turn the ball over. He fits up there because, he comes from Wisconsin. So
yeah. And we remember his Arkansas days. He was good for a couple of crazy games every year where he would pull off an upset, and his teams were always ready. I think Arkansas fans got tired of it, but because they didn't seem to be going anywhere, and they were right. But man, sometimes he would put a team out there that looked good.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets those. He gets the big nasties on the line, son. And
he's a good coach to have in that game. He's no stranger to go on the road and playing the number one team.
No,
Yeah, he had to do it a lot at Arkansas.
absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. That's a big spread, but honestly, I would almost take Illinois to at least cover. I don't
Yeah.
think they'll win, but I think I'd take them to cover.
I do feel like you said, Oregon avoided the trap game after that crazy Ohio State game. It would be just natural to come out flat the next game, no matter who your opponent is. They didn't do that, so that's impressive. So out of all these potential upsets, that's probably the one I would feel least confident in.
Right.
As I feel most confident in Oregon right now, I'm on the Oregon train, saying that's the best team in the country. That's your national title team, unless somebody knocks them off. So that's Texas got exposed. We both called that last week. They got exposed. So
Yeah.
it's not that they're not a good team, but they're not what a lot of people thought they were. So
They are what we thought they were.
exactly. So that segues right into the next game. Game I'm most excited about for the whole day is the Longhorns, the fake UT, versus the second best team in Tennessee, and that's saying a lot this year.
Right.
Second best team in the SEC, Vanderbilt Commodores, that are they're rolling. They went into Kroger Field and beat Kentucky after Alabama. I mean, they're impressive. They are impressive. Their coach is impressive. I'm a big fan of what he's doing. And here we go again, right back into Nashville, Tennessee. There'll be more burnt orange there than black and gold again, I'm sure. But here we go again. They're Texas is favored 18.5 points.
Woo-wee. Oh, man, listen.
After coming out looking like they did against Georgia, Vandy team's just rolling. And really, even their loss, I mean, they have weird loss. They're just a weird team. They come out, they bring their best against the best teams, and then they come out and choke on a cupcake, if you will.
They look awful against TSD, and then they come out and beat Texas. Come on.
Tennessee or Texas School of Death for those who are. Is it Tennessee or Texas?
Either one. They're well, for this instance, we'll say Texas. Horns down. But man, they're all up in their fields and their 5-gallon bucket cowboy hats down there in Austin right now, man.
It's rough. It's just one loss. You're still a top 5 team, but man, they beat Alabama last year. They're rolling through schedule. They're gonna roll through the SEC, and then Georgia and Kirby Smart just absolutely punched those boys in the mouth early and often. And
now, I will say, I watched I caught most of it. I watched, man, after I smoked my victory cigar last week.
Well deserved.
Yes. I caught most of the second half, and there was a time there where I was like, Texas is about to make this a game, and then Georgia said nope.
Yeah. It just, that yes and no, then it just, you could feel it though. You could feel that there was a more physical team on the field that game, and there was a better prepared team, and it was Georgia. We all saw it coming. We called it with Don and Ryan. Shout out
the boys.
Chat. Shout out the boys who they didn't believe it, but we told them, said, you're going to win this game.
Oh yeah.
You're going to win this game. So Texas and Vandy, that's the upset I'm rooting for. I mean, I'll go on record right now saying Texas pulls off this upset. I'm going to Lids next week.
Vandy.
I'm sorry. If Vandy pulls off the upset over Texas, apologize.
That'd be funny if it was an upset the other way, though.
I might consider that more of an upset. I really don't think a team can go into Vandy and win right now. That's how confident I am. But I will go to Lids next week, buy the ugliest Vandy hat I can. I hate black and gold, and I'll wear that on the next podcast. So the next time we talk about college football, I will be a Vandy fan.
There you go.
Because I love that team so much. Their quarterback, he doesn't look like a quarterback. He doesn't look like he should be good, and he just goes out there, balls out. The whole team follows, and somehow they get it done. So here we go. So that's the stakes.
Remember the text I sent you about? I got a stat that'll blow your effing mind.
Yeah, let's hear it. I'm anxious to hear this.
Vanderbilt leads the all-time series with the Texas Longhorns 8-3. And I fact checked it. It's true. It's
Wow.
true. It's damn
How-
true.
Was that in the 1800s? How is that possible?
I don't know, but it's a fact. It's
That's
fact, Jack.
crazy, man. Oh gosh, that's wild. That is wild stuff there. So there you
Also,
go.
Vandy has taken protective measures this week. They're putting nets up on the Texas side of the stadium. Said they'd probably leave it up for the Tennessee game too, because we like to throw bottles of mustard. That's fine. There will be no bottles of mustard thrown in that game because we're going to stomp their ass.
Yeah. I don't know if they can sustain, but I would love to see them sustain one more week. And again,
Yes.
I'll say it probably every week. Thank God Vandy is not on Florida's schedule.
You never
This
thought
year.
to say that, did you?
Never thought I'd say it. All right. I hate this matchup, but it would be hilarious if Miami lost to FSU at home this weekend. 7:00 game. You can't. I mean, and we everybody's talked about it. Yes, they went into the swamp. I'd like to see that game played now, with the way Florida's playing now, Florida's defense playing now. I think it'd be a different outcome. At least it wouldn't have been so embarrassing. But that's the last time Miami looked good. They have, and yes, Cam Ward, he's looked like a Heisman winner, but that team as a whole, they just keep skimming by these easy games. I don't even remember what their strength of schedule is, but it's low. You could tell that when you saw it. It was like the only ranked team they were playing was FSU, and now look at them. FSU's 1-6.
Yeah.
So that would be hilarious. I hate FSU with all my being, but man, that would be beautiful. Beautiful.
It's crazy to me to see this game like this year. I mean, Miami's a 21-point favorite.
Wild.
3, 4, even 10 years ago, dude, this game was like it. Like you're watching this game and you're like, okay, there's going to be like 4 fights. I mean, it's going to be a fun game to watch. This year, you're watching to see if Florida State stays alive to make a bowl game. You know what I mean?
I don't see how they can. I mean, 1-6, man. They got to win 5 more games. They got to win out.
They got to win out, and it starts here. They've still got you guys on the schedule. Who knows who else? And it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I would say good old Norvell is going to be on the in the unemployment line.
You think so? After a year after getting to the playoffs,
with a year where your
after not getting into the playoffs when they're undefeated.
In a year where your expectations are that high, because I mean, don't you can't sit there and tell me Florida State's not talented. So, to me,
not.
This says, okay, he's lost that locker room, and it's not necessarily his fault. It's not. I mean, I would be upset if I played on that football team last year and had the year that they had and still got left out. I would be upset with that. But also at the same time, it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Do I go out here next year and give my all just to get left out of the 12-team playoff? I don't know. To me, if I was him, I'd be like, look, guys, we got a chance to right some wrongs this year and get in the playoffs and do what we needed to do last year with it being 12 teams. And this year, he's just kind of like, well, guys, I guess we're going to play golf during bowl season.
You're right. I mean, there's too much talent on that team to be 1-6 and losing to the teams they are losing ugly and getting beat at home by these average teams, man. Like that's a problem in the locker room. That's not the problem that Florida has currently. You can say Billy Napier's seat is as hot as you want, but that team's playing hard for him. Yep. Those boys are playing, and the whole outlook of the season has changed. It doesn't seem that way with FSU. They've given up on him, they've given up on themselves. But I will say this: I think what we're seeing with Florida State is what can bite you if you put all your eggs in the basket of a transfer quarterback.
Yeah.
If a transfer quarterback does not work out, no matter how good he did at other schools, NC State's an example. Grayson McCall, officially retired. He's got a lot of concussions, but he was a big name, and they got it. You could, I mean, they got you guys blew them out of the water. They were getting blown out of the water by other teams before that even. So you put all this into a transfer quarterback. Not everyone's going to be Russell Wilson like when he went to Wisconsin or some other transfer quarterbacks that have gone. But more often than not, when you see teams put their entire season on a transfer quarterback, it crashes and burns. So, but yeah, I just think that'd be hilarious. That'd be hilarious. I mean, I would eat that up. Obviously that's a game. 2 Florida rivals, they can both lose, and I'd be happy. But if Florida State was to knock off Miami for their first loss, I would be I'd be tickled pink. So the last one I'll
Yes.
talk about, and this is the one that I would bet anything on. We barely missed it against USC, and it was USC's fault. But James Franklin can't get to 7-0. He just can't. The man went into USC, should have lost that game, right? We both saw that coming. Now he goes
Yep.
into Wisconsin. Luke Fickell knows how to beat Penn State. He's an Ohio State guy, beat Penn State a lot of times. He is not one bit intimidated by the number 3 team in the country that does not look,
No.
scary at all. He's 5-2 himself, one loss to Bama.
Yep.
His star quarterback went out. So Penn State goes down this weekend.
I like that one. I like that pick a lot because, well, it's hard to play in Camp Randall at night too, man. That's a tough place to go in and win at. Like, you got to come in prepared, and that jump around, son. That's where it's at.
Right, and then Penn State, they have
it sounds like the weather could be nasty.
Yeah, but I'll say that does favor Penn State a little bit because they do have a legit defense, have a fantastic defense, but 6.5-point favorites over Wisconsin at night, and with James Franklin as a coach, that's my upset. I'll end this with that's my upset pick of the week. The upset that I want to see is Vandy over Texas.
Right. We still got a few more here. We got next one up that I kind of want to talk about. Oh, we'll touch on Oklahoma and Ole Miss. That's a 20-point spread. Oklahoma, man, they're
reeling, man. They're reeling.
They're done for.
Yeah.
They'll make a bowl game, but they're not that good. We'll gloss over that one. This could be one.
I see Ole Miss winning that, and if they don't, it's just because Lane Kiffin tries to get cute and do stuff that gets Oklahoma back in the game.
Yes. Before we get into the night tilts, though, the rest of the night tilts, that Missouri Bama game in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. I passed over that one. Missouri's missing some big pieces, though. Quarterbacks doesn't look like he's going to be able to play. Running backs out. Got to think, but then again, we thought Bama would come in after losing to Vandy and trounce South Carolina, and they should have lost to South Carolina. So I don't know.
They should have.
I just cannot. You cannot think about this Bama team like you do Bama teams of the past. Missouri's more than capable of going in there and winning, but what are they going to do? Like they got to figure out their identity as a team now. Is it best thing they can do is run Jalen Milroe more, and stop putting him back there in the pocket, because the longer he's in the pocket, the longer he's got the ball back there, the more likely he is to make a mistake. So that kind of quarterback. I know the board had Penix Jr. last year. He could do that, but that's not what Milroe is.
No. That would probably be my upset special of the week. Just because
so?
Mizzou's got a good defense. They got a good defense. And honestly, I mean, Drink pulls one out of the hat for. It seems like every year this would be the one to pull out of the hat.
Yeah. I know you would just soak in those Bama tears. I know you would just take a bath in them.
I'd bathe in them.
So.
But, I'm going to say this, that Mizzou, I got to troll them just a little bit. They're coming in a little motivated. They got those bowl-bound T-shirts last week that Drink made sure to get them. Jesus, man. Like, Butch Jones 2.0.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Like, legit, Bujo.
Dan Mullen.
I'm going to say this, though. You're going to find out a lot more about what Alabama's made of this week than you did last week, just because they have to bounce back in this game. If they want to make the playoffs, they have to. And their schedule does not get any easier from here. Like, they absolutely have to. You know what I mean? So there's that one. We got.
We're going to talk about in-state rivalry, Kansas State.
Yes.
That's the nightcap. That's the 8 o'clock game.
10-point spread.
Kansas State, though, they went into Colorado. Kansas 2-5. That's a surprising spread with Kansas being 2-5, but that's one of those rivalry games. Some reason it's always It's always close.
Yes. It's Big 12 football. You know, I, what do you say? You know what I mean? Uh, that
I
one,
don't think anybody's been scared of that for a while.
right? Like, I don't know what to think about that one because Kansas is supposed to be pretty good. You know what I mean? But they're not. They're just
Yeah, they got a good
not.
dual threat
They've lost a
quarterback. They
couple
got
close games.
talent. It wouldn't surprise me. I've not watched either enough. I think, Kansas State going in and beating Colorado is a big deal because people are always hyping up Colorado, in the Deion Sanders era.
Of course.
And Kansas State went in there and shut them up, So that's impressive. So I don't know. That might be one I tune into a little bit because it could be a good hard fought game. So, but
Yes.
I would have
Yes.
to take Kansas State with the points at home for sure, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So who else were you going to talk about? LSU, Texas A&M?
Oh yeah, dude, that one that's got game of the week potential written all over it right there.
The
'Cause
spread's
that's
changed even since you and I talked about it. It's a 1-point spread in favor of Texas A&M now. Not a big change,
it
but it's
was
shifting a little
2.5.
more towards LSU.
That'll be a straight pick by game time Saturday.
Oh, for sure.
Guaranteed.
I mean, two very similar teams, right?
Yeah. And who would have thought that either one? Well, I would say who would have thought, but both teams are undefeated in the conference. That game's pretty important. I mean, for SEC folks, I mean that's a tough one there. I mean, either way you go, I think the Texas A&M team is probably a little bit better simply because they've got a better defense than LSU.
Yeah.
And they struggle against a big physical defense. That's the kind of defense that Texas A&M plays. The only one they've seen so far was USC, and they choked that one away. So I also think both teams have benefited from having a favorable front end of the schedule.
Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. They've not been tested too much. It's such an interesting game because you do have LSU who air raid. I mean, they throw the ball, and they're eighth in the country in passing against a defense that is probably their weak. That's probably the only weak spot in Texas A&M's defense so far this year. They've given up over 209 yards of passing a game, and then on the reverse side, LSU is not great against the run. They're outside the top 30, which is still good, but for LSU, we remember the Les Miles days, and they always had that defense that was great against the run. That's what made those games against Bama so fun to watch. But Texas A&M runs the ball well. LSU doesn't stop it very well. LSU throws the ball very well. Texas A&M does not stop the throw very well. So we'll see what happens there. And they're both 6-1. They both have some of the same wins, and and that's about as even a matchup as you'll ever see.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So you got to take the 12th man in that.
I know my Vols have taken one on the chin down there in Aggie land. I don't, it's a hard place to go in and win, man. Especially if you
Hey, I remember that.
don't
Alvin
play
Kamara.
well.
Alvin Kamara, well, that was his coming out party, and then he went right back to the bench next week.
Yeah, thanks, Butch. Just man, just that game, that season in general, man. That
was a rough one, but I say let's, man, that was fun. That was fun talking about these college football matchups. Really,
hey,
what a great episode to start on.
One more.
One more. Well, who we
I got
missed?
one more. Southern Methodist favored by 11.5 over my beloved Duke Blue Devils.
Shout out Duke.
Like, yes, sir. And that is a top 25 matchup, believe it or not. Yes. Duke, they don't play a sexy brand of ball, man, but they're winning games, and don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them.
That's a little that's offensive. That's downright offensive. That they would be that they would be almost a two touchdown underdog to SMU.
Yeah, SMU's good, man, but I'm telling you, Duke, they're playing tough ball right now. So
there's something, huh?
Don't sleep on that one. Yes, sir.
That's a sneaky one. So the upset in that is Duke over SMU. For sure,
yes,
putting your last dollar on it.
I don't know about that, but hey, I do have a couple parlays though put together for us. if you want to bet, on that early slate, 12 to 3:30, I'm gonna take Navy in the 12.5. I got Nebraska, Ohio State. I'm gonna take the under on that one.
Taking the under 48.5 points.
Under 40.
You don't think that Ohio State alone is going to score 40 plus? Maybe.
I just here's my thing. What's more impressive if you win 42-17 or 28-0?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think Nebraska's got the horses in the stable. That's not to say that that may not be the best bet there, but I'm pretty confident in that one. 40. Give me that one.
Okay. That's a risky one. I like it. It's got to be a good payout.
Well, we got to. It ain't gambling if you know you're gonna win. You know what I'm saying? Give me the 3 touchdowns for Illinois on Oregon.
Okay.
Yes, noon game. No, I mean 3:30, but it's a noon game in Oregon, and Illinois just likes to hang around. So give me the 21.5.
Like that with the time zone reminder. That's something we got to remember. So it's not like they're waking up at 6 a.m. when we're waking up at 9. They're still waking up at normal time. They still got to get to the stadium at 8 a.m. or whatever, 9 a.m. and get ready to play. So yeah, that's a good perspective.
And then give me BYU outright on the money line. Right now, as of right now, they were still in plus money. Give me that one. And then Mizzou, give me the 16.5 for Mizzou. $10 on that one right there. You parlay it, it's 270, 152 is a payout. So
I like that one. I like that one a lot. I mean, I like it.
If you want to let them hang, just throwing this out there, outright. BYU, Stanford over Wake, Navy over Notre Dame, UNC, UNLV. That game's tomorrow night. UNLV and Boise. That game's tomorrow night. $10 on that bad boy will pay out almost $1,200. Just saying.
Ooh, okay.
So throw that one out there for you. Maybe somebody will tell that.
That's some good. This is a good week for this. It's a good week for us to start this podcast because we can chill. We don't have to talk about our teams. They're on bye weeks. Talk about everybody else and try to get people maybe to win a little money here.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
It's a good week to be risky. I think it's college football. We've seen crazier this year, and it's setting up to be one of those crazy weekends. You can feel it.
Yes, it's that time of the year, man. So that was a good episode, man. I'm glad was able to.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining us, Mutt Cuts, Step Bros.
We'll be here.
Go get a big gulp now. We're gonna go get a big gulp. Go travel over to Aspen, Colorado. Beer flows like wine. Yes, sir. And we'll see you guys in the next one. We're going to talk about the NFL in the next one. Hope everybody has a good night, good day, and let's enjoy some football this weekend.
Yes, sir.
We're out.
Deuces.